well, okay, how good am I at these things? As an agent and as a business, you've got to look at these seven and go, well, we're really good at campaign centric. Fantastic. Don't change. How are you going on those client relationships? Are you nurturing them? Oh, a little bit crap on that. Okay. How's your marketing? Oh, I'm not so sure about that, all that marketing bit. So they're doing okay.
Hey, welcome to the show, Leading and Growing Your Real Estate Business. This is Coach James Short, aka Shorty. And this is a show for those within the real estate industry wanting to lead and grow their real estate business. It's a series of interviews that we conduct for those within the industry. So we're finding out what those leaders are within the industry, what makes them tick, what's their story, what are their strategies, and how to become the leaders and the growers within the industry. But also it's an interview series with those outside of the industry. I'm always a big believer of looking at a whole different part of the pie rather than just focusing on one part of the pie. Because what it does, it allows you to have a different perspective, allows you to get snippets or golden nuggets from those outside of the industry that can look into the industry and go, there's a different perspective. And so I encourage you to reach out to the guests. I encourage you to lean into these series to find out how can these pieces of information, experiences, stories help you lead and grow your real estate business. Welcome back to another edition, and I am super excited to have the GOAT legend of all time, John Cunningham, on the show, back on the show. He is a master. He is, what do we call him? I'm not going to call him the Godfather, even though he is a grandfather. He is a mover and shaker within the industry, true veteran of the industry, and 2025 sees him celebrating 48 years of service to clients, leading a team of 80 from 3 locations on the northern beaches of Sydney. John has applied a very simple client-first philosophy that continues to drive the business today and is the cornerstone of the Cunningham's way. Today, I'm excited because we're going to be talking about the prime method of sustainable success, how mirrors, triggers, and beliefs need to be understood, and how the behaviors of the industry foster more regulation. Honor and a privilege to have him on the show. John, welcome back, mate.
A pleasure to be here, mate. I love the goat concept, but not the actual goat. But I have been referred to as a goat often. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. So let's dive into it. What's been happening with you over the last 6 to 12 months with what you've been working on, what the business is working on? Where's that been over the last 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, pretty exciting. I mean, we've always been in growth phase. Oh, there goes the dog. That's the trouble when you've got a schnauzer in the house. You never know when it's going to go off. Rosie. Anyway, the grandkids have just left, so she's saying farewell. So yeah, look, I think the last 6 to 12 months has been a really interesting time because there's these critical moments in the industry where things significantly change, and you could say, oh, is it AI? What is it? It's, I think, more to do with customer behavior and how they're getting to a place where expectations are increasing quite significantly. So there's a range of expectations that I think as an industry, many people think AI is going to be the solution to it. But it's proven to me more and more that the personal layer and that professional layer sits well above the process layer, which is the enabler driver through AI and all the rest of it is to get that to enable that personal development to communication take place. So we've been very much in there. We've been very much in understanding, and I think this is another important thing for the industry to actually understand the metrics that go behind everything that happens in the digital world. Understand what's the ROI, what are we actually investing in, and now I think we're starting to see enough information that we can answer those questions. So we're about to launch a whole new digital strategy, but it's been really well thought out. It's based on evidence, it's based on proof, and we're looking at the ROI. So there's a range of things that have been happening, and we've been growing the team as well. So it's and just building culture constantly.
Fantastic. I love that. And I want to pick up that whole personal touch piece because I think it's so important in today's world. Where do you think, where do you see that across the industry? Do you think it's coming to make a loop back? Do you think it's still dropping off? Where do you see it from a helicopter viewpoint within the industry?
I've been doing a lot of talks around the industry in the last 12 months on the Prime method, and which is all driven by what I call the three layers. The layers are process, professional, and personal. Um, and what I'm seeing is the thing that I've always believed is the case. The great agents understand that layer. They understand how the personal side of things is the most critical. As long as it's backed up by great professional services across all sectors of what you do, in other words, your own service, the professional services that are provided by the industry and services, and then your own internal professional services, and then making sure that your workflows and processes are absolutely in sync with that, and you're not skipping things. And that's what I love about technology at the moment is technology says, hey, red flag, you can't skip that. You if you don't go from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you're not going to be able to do the whole alphabet. You have to go through each one as you do it. And I love that because that all links into the compliance piece, which is becoming a big part of what we do. And a lot of people still haven't got their head around that. And there's going to be some big lessons learned soon in that space. So I think the personal component is getting stronger. And
Great.
it's getting stronger because our consumers desire a trusted guide to take them. They can get a lot of information from ChatGPT, and it's fantastic. It does provide, especially when you give it the right prompts and you keep asking it questions to refine things. It does give you a lot of great information. But I don't think people are using it for that purpose
Mm.
sufficiently. They still don't know what they don't know. And in the research that we did, we found that our clients didn't know 70% of what they needed to know to make a good, smart, rational decision that's right for them. They relied upon professionals to provide that for them. And in the absence of value in that, the great saying, price is an issue, right? So therefore, we're dealing with still agents who are in the whole price area because their value differentiation is so poor. So
Totally.
they're not discovering, they're not really getting to a point of understanding their clients' needs, desires, fears, all those things that enable the professional agent to come in and provide the solutions. In other words, what's the problem we're trying to solve here? And do you trust me enough to provide you with those answers
Mm.
and those solutions and take you on that journey that often is brought forward because people go, oh, thank you. This actually makes sense to me. I can now make a really good decision. Whereas in the past, I was in a maze of confusion because there's so much complexity. And agents are just coming through with a solution. So this is what we're going to do for you, and this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and there's no rationale of why.
Yep.
Why are you doing these things? And how are you going to execute it? And what does that mean to me? And that's been a gap in this industry for so long because, in my view, agents haven't done the personal work. They haven't got to that place where they understand themselves and their
Yep.
role.
Is that, and
That
then
was a pat on the back, doesn't it?
no, that because that's a perfect segue where I want to sort of go into. So it is that personal work when they can understand the triggers, not obviously in themselves, but then obviously in others, and how do they read their behaviors and how they
Yeah.
actually have those communications? How do they have courageous conversations? All those
Yep.
key aspects. That's when you, from learning from working on yourself, you can actually then help to see in others as well.
Absolutely. I mean, the reality is I don't believe most people actually know themselves.
Mm.
Um, they don't know. I've got these things in my prime method, which starts with three intentions. What are your intentions for the day? If you start with this one place, it opens up, it's like a liberator. Mark Dobson, great performance coach, talks about liberators. And those liberators are finding the one thing that opens the door to everything else. And in my view, the thing that I've learned along the way is if I don't start every single day well, in other words, I haven't set my intentions for the day. My intentions are built around who am I being today? In other words, who am I? What's it all about? What's that look like? How am I being seen? In other words, what are my behaviors being seen by others? How am I seen? And then what am I going to achieve? If I don't set those up at the beginning of every day, I'm not going to have an optimized day. And if you have an optimized day with good intent, you will move into action. So again, what am I going to achieve? You're moving from intention, clear, to clear actions. And then that marries up with what I call the three truths, which are, what do I stand for? What's my identity? Who am I? I've got to have some level of substance within that, because then with my substance, what am I known for? What do I represent? And you want your clients to know you. You have to be this person that, if I'm going to move to a point of trust, I have to know myself and I have to have clients know me. And so that is the stuff that people connect with. And that's, in my view, what I call your superpower. When you have a superpower and you connect with clients, they understand what purpose you're going to fulfill. And then as you build that whole equation out, you build out an equation of worth, of value. So people will understand your worth if they understand your value. That pre-work is just one of those things that if you don't do it and don't apply the principles that you work by, you are never going to reach your full potential, which is why I talk about the sustainable success model is, well, I want to keep doing this, but I just see so many people, James, that have burned themselves out or create train wrecks and learn the hard way. The divorce rate in our industry is insane.
Yep.
And we've got a high level of suicide than most industries. We've got a higher level of alcoholism, and all kinds of things. And it's because people don't know how to have that self-control and know themselves as to who they are and what's important in their lives,
So why
other
do you
than
think,
money.
yeah, right. So totally. And so why do you think they don't walk that journey? Why do you think they don't go on that personal discovery?
It's interesting. I was watching a vidcast from Adrian Oddie from Brexit Whitney, and he was really vulnerable and candid and open in that about what he screwed up. And it was a fascinating insight. And I would encourage anyone to go on and see that, follow him on Instagram and get the full video, because what he talked about was the fact that he got obsessed almost with what he was doing. He was good at it, right? Now, if you're good at something, you then have this ego kick in that takes over and says, I'm good at this. I can keep doing this. I'm so important. I'm so good at all that stuff. And you forget about the life of the people around you and your family and all that stuff. And I think he really, as I say, courageously brought that to the fore. And a lot of people have obviously over time, but it's a hard lesson to learn to get that epiphany and go through that hard stuff, because you are in that ego driven, the money comes, the money's easy, it's all this sort of stuff. And you keep doing it, you keep doing it, you keep doing it. And then there's consequences. And I think the consequences component is something that people don't take into account when they start this process. They see, hey, I'm good at this. I'll keep doing it. I'll just keep doing it. Do more. I can do more of this. And they just completely let life slip them by because they think what they're doing is life and living. And it's a hard lesson to learn.
So true. And then do you see then for those who then have the fallouts, have the setbacks, then they take a bit of space to then go, whoa, I need to have a bit of a reset. I need to look at myself in the mirror and maybe do things a little bit differently.
Yeah, and that's where the mirrors, triggers, and belief system comes into play. I just did it at the REI New South Wales Property Management Day on Monday, and I've done it for the Rise initiative as well. And it's that intention every day starts there, looking in the mirror, asking those questions, and that reflection, right? The reflection doesn't lie, and it's very hard to lie to yourself. Although some people are pretty good at lying themselves as well. So
That's right.
there's some lost causes out there. But I think if you get to that place where you can do that reflection on a daily basis and ask yourself, have I been the best version I could possibly be today? I don't think most people do that. I don't think they bother to invest in themselves to get to this place where I'm not going to have that train wreck down there. I'm going to actually work on myself and set some priorities and do those things. And another great guy, Andrew Liddell from Brexit Whitney as well. I think he saw a lot of guys around him making this train wreck, and he went, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
He put things in place where family came first, right? And it was one of those things where when he did that, and absolutely made that clear, his business thrived. And this is the interesting thing, is that I look back at my career and I look at the fact that I made decisions that were family first from day one. I didn't get caught up in the hype. I was very efficient with my time. I valued my time. I valued myself and what I gave to clients. I gave them my best, but I wasn't stupid. Like I'm not available 24/7, guys. Sorry.
Yep.
I don't work Sundays, and I imagine you'd like to have a Sunday off as well. And they go, yeah, yes, please. And I go, I'm going to give you a call 5 days a week. I have Thursdays off as well. That's when my weekly report will land in your inbox. But I'll be talking to you every day. Before you go to bed, I'm on the phone before 7 o'clock at night to make sure I give you an update that enables you to sleep easy that night, right? You make that commitment and you follow it through and you provide what you need to provide. You don't have to live 24/7 real estate. And the objective was, and I worked 2 nights a week. I went out, I got home at 4 on those nights, and I went out at 7 or 8 when the kids went to bed, and I listed property. Um, and it worked. I had this balance in play that enabled me to do what I needed to do, and achieve the objectives I needed to achieve, which was one, put my family first, have a lot of holidays with my family. I know when I started my business the second year of business, we took a 5 week trip overseas in the second year of business. And people were, how the hell did you do that? And I said, I chose to do it.
Yep.
I chose that as a priority. Well, but what did you miss out on? I missed out on nothing.
Mm.
Imagine what I missed out on if I didn't do it.
Yeah.
It's sort of, I didn't have that stuff to miss out on. It was like one of those things. And the reality is I didn't miss out a lot anyway. It was, it's clients, oh, yeah, I'll wait. I'll use your associate in your team, whatever I use. It's like we make these excuses thinking we're so important
Yeah.
that we forget what's actually important. And it is beyond self. It's the people that you love.
So true. And that when you have that mindset, that actually comes through when you're talking to clients because that resonates with them.
It does.
When you talk that family, when you talk that whatever those values are important to you and you live, breathe it and eat it, then that comes through in the lounge room. That comes through in those conversations every single time. And I think that's a important piece to note. You don't have to be a different person. It's the
Uh,
holistic viewpoint.
that's it. There's a great quote by Anthony Hopkins, who says, I thought I had to live 2 lives, but in the end, I found out it was only one. It had to be lived with intent and dignity. Now, what he was talking about was his professional persona as an actor, not when he's doing his job as an actor, but as an actor, he thought he had to have this persona.
Mm.
And he said it was exhausting, absolutely exhausting being two different people. And he said, I found out in the end that all my work colleagues much prefer me as the real Anthony Hopkins than the one I thought I had to be. And I thought that was so perfect that real estate agents think they're going to be this other person. Just got to be themselves. Like there's this great thing, I know, be yourself because everyone else is taken,
Yeah.
and so trying to be someone, and I want to be Alex Phillips. No, you can't. He's gone. There's only one of them. Just leave him be. Let him be himself. It's a reality is find your superpower. Find the thing that you're really good at or become really good at something and leverage it. I became really good at understanding what people needed and surprising them with things that they didn't expect, or doing things for them they didn't expect, or providing advice and things that nobody else bothered to find out about. I was a great discoverer, and I would say things like, "Excuse me, James, I'm sorry, but I'm a really curious person, and I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. I hope that's okay, because the only way I'm going to be able to help you is to find out what your needs are." And people go, "Oh, thanks, John. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much." And you sort of like get to this place where you're a real human being. They understand you, and I was a young 22-year-old studying sales, and I was a qualified valuer. I had a valuation diploma, and I had knowledge from learning that, quite frankly, most agents didn't have. And I leveraged that knowledge of construction, town planning, law into everything I did. And people, I'd say, "Why did you give it to me?" "Oh, you're much smarter than those other real estate agents, and you do more. You actually think differently." And so I could say the magic happens outside the box. And I think most of this industry sits in this box of thinking, and they don't look outside. And I started my career saying, "Oh, I'm going to do everything that others don't do. I'm going to do everything that everyone else couldn't be bothered doing." So I know I was going to do more and provide more value, and therefore I'll be more valuable. And it was a massive winner because it took years and years and years and years for my competitors to figure it out.
And that's so true. It's the zig and zag approach, right?
Absolutely.
It's
Yep.
so important. And I think it can become so insular when we look outside that box, and there's so many different industries that we can learn from, so many different other great leaders that we can learn from, of doing things a little bit differently, and like, oh, how can I incorporate that into my business? It doesn't have to be the so-called inverted commas of real estate way. There are so many ways that we can serve clients and vendors and buyers and the team. It's like, let's look at what other best practices are being done out there, and how can we incorporate that
Exactly. Yeah.
into our
And
business.
there's a epiphany moments in the you go, oh my God, how obvious is that?
It's
You know,
right.
it's like, wow, why did I think but it is, and often it's from outside other industries that you get.
Hey guys, just a little side note here. How's it going? Are you on track this year? I know that sometimes this part of the year we can feel like we're in a bit of a grind, a bit of in the trenches. Are you on track from the original plans that you set out for the rest of this year? What I've realized is that between with this time of year, we get so distracted and we've got trying to chase so many shiny balls and go down so many rabbit holes. And that's why I created a program called the 90. It's a framework that actually allows you to achieve more in 90 days than ever before. Some of the feedback that we've got from some of the people that have used the process, the 90, is that they've achieved more in 90 days than the whole previous year. So if you'd like to have the tools, have the techniques, have the framework on the 90, so you and your team can achieve more in 90 days than ever before. What it does, it impacts you of how to get clear, what you need to do, and who you need to be to show up in order to achieve the things you want to achieve over the next 90 days. Simply head over to jamesshort.com.au, click on join the waitlist, fill in your details, and one of the team members will be in touch and take you through the 90 framework. On with the show.
To sense this. And that's why there's this, that always be learning concept is that, I go along, I think I've been to two training sessions this week alone. And I've walked out learning something at every lesson.
Yeah.
And this is, Bob Wolf, the trainer from America, he has this great quote, and they say, what was the secret of your success? And he said, every day I woke up saying, what am I going to learn from the people I meet today? I love
Great
that,
saying.
and
Great
that's the
saying.
thing. It's like you learn from clients, you learn from experiences, you learn from whatever you learn.
Yep.
And so for me, in 48 years, whatever it's been, it's a constant learning thing. That's what with this prime method is I put all of that learning into a methodology, and it's what I call the method and the manner
Yep.
of
So
what we
talk me
do.
through that. Talk me through that if you
Well,
can.
it's sort of driven by those things I just talked about in terms
Yep.
of, okay, what are the truths? What are the elements of success? What are the principles that we've got to apply? And it starts with the intentions, and then it goes into understanding the things that we do. And I'm talking sales and property management is the
Yep.
same thing. So in sales, we find opportunities, right? We prospect. We have to win those. We've got to list them. We've got to get them signed on a document, right? We've got to come to an agreement. And then we have to have sell through. So the three elements that I work with is find, win, sell, right? And our mantra at Cunningham is find, love, live, right? So it's part of that whole
Yep.
thing. But it's called prime because it comes out of three, fives, and sevens. This is how the system works. So under each one of those elements, I call them, there are five fundamentals. So there are five find fundamentals, there are five win fundamentals, and there are five sell fundamentals. So, to give you an example of the find fundamentals, they're pretty damn obvious. But the funny thing is that most things are, and they're really simple.
Yep.
But to understand what we do in find is we find doors, right? We open doors. We keep doors open. We close doors to others. In other words, we get to what we call uncontested business. And then as part of that is we advance pipeline, right? So the idea is to get to this place where we're constantly advancing people through a process and building a relationship along the way. So yes, finding the doors is critical, but that's one part. And it's
Mm.
like expecting a young cadet to get appraisals on the phone. I have no expectation of anyone who does prospecting to get appraisals immediately. All I want to see is an advancement. right? Because they can blow it, trying to push too hard at the instance. Advance them to the next call, advance them to the next contact, advance them to a place where you can help them make a decision, and you're advancing, advancing, advancing. It might take 3 calls, it might take 5, it might take 5 years. Whatever it is, you are developing a relationship to move towards uncontested business. That's the fundamental of what we do. And then when we look at what are those strategies, you've got to put strategies behind that. And there are 7 key strategies. And anything you do in prospecting fits within these strategies. First one's reputation and network. So it's bookended by reputation, network, and community participation, right? They're the bookends of a sustainable success. Right in the middle of that is what I call campaign centric, or as Shugol would say, listing leverage checklist. When you have a campaign, you campaign the crap out of the campaign, right? That's the goal. They're the golden nuggets that are in the field and they're out there. Some people can see them, some people can't. And within that, you've got client nurture relationships, you've got pipeline progression, you've got CRM, AI, and data, what you do within that environment. And you've got marketing magic. Now, I've called it marketing magic because, I talked earlier about what we're doing with our digital strategy. The magic is we don't know how magic happens, right?
Yes,
It's a
true.
mystery.
That's why it's
And it was
magic.
like that's why it's magic. It's also, marketing mystery, whatever you want to call it. We go, oh, I'll do some marketing and I'll post shit and I'll do this and I'll put an ad in the paper and I'll do a letterbox drop. All great strategies, except usually so poorly executed because they don't understand audience. They don't understand audience needs. They don't understand messaging and the simplicity of messaging. They don't understand what people give a rat's ass about. So what, they say, what's in it for me? Nothing. It's just recycling bin stuff.
Yep.
So
Noise.
noise. Unless you actually have a specific strategic and tactical marketing plan that is consistent and simple and consistent and simple, and it keeps going. People jump. I'll try that 1 month, and I'll try this next month, and I'll try that next
Yes.
month. No consistency. And the marketing magic is it can either be magical and you get it right, or it's magical and it's a mystery. But when you get it right, it works brilliantly. But those 7 strategies are the example of, well, okay, how good am I at these things? As an agent and as a business, you've got to look at these 7 and go, well, we're really good at campaign centric. Fantastic. Don't change. How are you going on those client relationships? Are you nurturing them? Oh, a little bit crap on that. Okay. How's your marketing? Oh, I'm not so sure about that, all that marketing bit. So they're doing okay.
Yep.
They've got one of those things working for them. But the reality is you need at least 3 or 4 of those really working for you well to keep consistency and sustainability. So that's what the methodology is about. And then I've got the 5 win fundamentals and the 7 sell fundamentals. So 5 sell fundamentals and the 7 key selling strategies is where it all started. This has been a reverse engineer process from I've had 7 key selling strategies for over 20 years, and it's
Oh,
been a
wow.
significant winner
Yeah.
for the business. And then I just reversed engineered it to put the pieces of the puzzle together to land on some what I would call some true USPs. If you're going to have a unique selling proposition, we've got those. And we had a social strategy we're about to embark on. We're using a company called Rowdy Fox who have come up with an incredible thing for us. And they said, we've worked with hundreds of real estate agents. And we don't say this to any, you're the first one we've actually come across that has a USP,
Wow.
a proper USP,
Wow.
because you've articulated it, you just haven't been very good at messaging it.
Right.
So the idea behind what we're doing is going into that space based on this prime method of what we do and how we explain to clients and get them ready to be list ready and then sell ready. And same with buyers. You've got to have your buyers buy ready. And sellers have to understand that the number one thing we do as agents is find the best buyers for their home.
Yep.
End of story. Right? All the other stuff is noise. What's your strategy to find the best buyers for my home? And how am I going to maximize my price? So once they're all within the 7 selling strategies. So uh, it's
Awesome.
it's all pretty old. That's why it's so simple. 3 fundamental, three elements, 5 fundamentals in each of those 3. and 7 strategies. So effectively 21 strategies that you can look at and go, ah, that's what it's all about. And that's
That's
that's where we've landed on that. It's been
game
quite
changer. Game changer. But that's not also, see, this is what I love because it's not just for getting clear on the USBs for clients. It's also that helping with culture. That's helping with
massively.
attracting more team because you're clear on, hey, this is who we are. This is what we stand for. Are you in? Are you on the seat on the right on the bus? Or maybe this is not right for you. So this is a perfect segue for team and for culture.
Well, it is, and I think the essence of team and culture, when you look at the environment you're creating from a cultural perspective, it's like, well, what's the cornerstone of that is trust,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to be friends with everyone in a team, right? Not everyone in a tribe is friendly,
Hmm.
but they have to respect each other. They have to trust each other. Otherwise, the tribe doesn't work. And
Yeah.
when you get the tribe working, um, you have this whole component where the trust team and or tribe team, whatever you want to call that one, leads to thriving.
Yeah.
And so you want to thrive in an environment. We've the last 3 recruits that we've had, actually one, two, three, four recruits into our team have all come to us for culture. And culture, they understand, with great leadership creates performance. And you want to create the best environment for performance to take place. It's not in a toxic, hard ass environment. It's in a place where you feel good.
Mm.
And as one of the guys said to me, I found my home, and
Wow.
I really like, I can perform better when I'm at home.
Yeah.
And this tribe thing is just, this is right for me. These people, everyone's supporting. No one's trying to compete with me. They're all actually supporting me and helping me. And someone's off sick and they're, oh, I'll put my hand up and help you. And that sort of environment is the place I want to work. I don't want to work in these, like, who's going to stab me in the back next?
Mm.
And that's what a few of them said, but they were. It was like I was just waiting. I had to take my computer home with me.
Wow.
I had to shut it down when I'd go out of the office. I'd never be able to trust anyone. It's like, what? That's
Yeah.
just not for us.
And is that behaviors just segue into fostering more regulation? Obviously, that's within offices and certain cultures, but then is that then expanding out into the industry and then dealing with clients and so forth due to increasing regulation, do you feel?
We've always been a very strong compliant plate business. It's non-negotiable for us. There's the law.
Yep.
You comply with the law, right?
Yep.
You do everything it says. You tick all the boxes, and sure, we still get a few underquoting complaints from buyers who missed out on things and that sort of stuff. But our stuff is so tight that there's never been an issue, and it's one of those things where when you get that right, and you know what? The agent's got no skeletons in their closets then. They're just out there doing their job, representing their clients, looking after people. And sure, you're going to get a few disgruntled people here and there, and that ends up on my desk. And I find out the reality was it's just someone who didn't get what they wanted. And that's life, and you deal with that. But then if there is something, you deal with it. You
Mm.
make sure that, hey, that's not the behavior. That's not what we call the Cunningham's way. The Cunningham's way dictates everything that we do, both from all the internal rules and regulations that we have, and also the compliance from an external perspective. But the industry has been heavily regulated because it's abused the privileges that it's got. And why do we have underquoting laws? Because we underquote.
Yep.
Why do we have misleading, deceptive conduct, all those sort of things? And why do we have the level of compliance that's required? Because we've abused it, and we're going to get more. Um, I personally support what they're going to be bringing in, which is a statement of information like in Victoria and in South Australia, and publish price guides most likely online. So it changes the transparency of what we do, and then the abuse of changing estimated selling prices, where you're going to tell an idea and get them up here, and then within a week you bring it down to here, and you knew it was going to sell somewhere in between all along, and you just knocking them down. There's examples of people doing over a campaign price estimate changes, and then shifting the dial on reserve, all that sort of stuff that is, in my view, um, just not on.
Mm.
I don't know. I've just never understood that sort of behavior. It's bizarre. But all that stuff happens for a reason. And I've always been of the view that it's just as easy to comply as not to comply.
Yeah.
But you know what real estate agents love to live in? The grey. It's their favorite place. And you know why? Because it's interpretive. And
Correct.
they're a creative bunch, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah, they love to figure stuff out and work out how can I get around this? Well, no, I can read it this way. I can read
Yeah.
it that way. And my argument to fair trading has always been make it black and white.
Mm.
Tell us what we can do, tell us what we can't do. Don't let us interpret what we can't do. Just tell us what we can't do, what we
Yep.
can do, what we can't do. It's like
Makes it
signboards.
easier.
Yeah, signboards. This is the size you can do for this, and this is the size you can do for that. Oh, thank you. We'll just comply now.
Yep.
You can't do pointer boards on the northern beaches. Oh, okay, thanks. We've got to do pointer boards. Simple, but
Mm.
fair trading have now fortunately got a commissioner in there that is listening and is going to make some changes that I think will be good. Not everyone will agree with me, but I think they'll be good for consumers. I always have this view that if it's good for the consumer, it's good for the agents, good for the client, it's good for everyone.
Sure. Definitely. Definitely. So, John, what's coming up over the next? Obviously, you've got your new campaign that you're launching, but what also is happening for the next 6 to 12 months for the business, but also for you personally?
Yeah, I've got my general manager come back from maternity leave next month, which is fantastic.
Great.
That's going to be great for me, and great for the business. It's funny. It's a role that you actually can't like put a temp in.
Yeah.
Your GM sort of like the glue that
Yep.
holds everything together. And we've got a great management team that have stepped in and helped and done an enormous job to fill that gap. But it is one of those roles where, yeah, how do you temporarily do that? I don't. And she's had a couple of babies, so we sort of had to go down that path. Um, but it's she's a critical part of the team, so it's going to be great. Also, we've got a new office opening in DY by the end of the year, so we've got a fit out of that in this second half of the year happening. It's in the centre of DY. We're moving from our Clory office to there.
Beautiful.
We'll be in size. And then next year we'll be refurbing our head office at Balgowlah. We've just done a new shift in Avalon. We're building the team at Avalon, which is great. Some great new people down there. And then we'll be doing a complete new fit out of Balgowlah. It'll be really amazing space and environment. And for me, I'm sort of in that, I suppose, more chairman type role, I would say. And I think, Brie will probably move into more of a CEO type role that I've been having. But I still love training. I do a lot of the training, and it's all built around the prime method with the team. And I do a bit of it for the industry as well. But yeah, grandkids, me, I've never been shy to take a holiday. So I'm off to Ireland on Wednesday. So
Beautiful.
it'd be, yeah, my third overseas trip this year. And, I've been doing it, I've been overseas every year for 30 years. So it's part of my
Mm.
balance equation. But
Wonderful.
I'm still excited by what I do and and the industry. I think that we are moving into a fascinating space with data and artificial intelligence and the outcomes of data analysis and predictive analysis. I think is going to be fascinating, and there's obviously a lot of it already happening.
Mm.
Um, but I think what's going to change, James, is it's going to start to make sense to people, right? Because like SEO, you think about SEO, what the hell SEO do? That's been the greatest um, I would say, rip off this industry's ever seen of people thinking that if they increase their SEO, it's going to increase their sales or increase their opportunities, and they won't get on the phone and make phone calls. Sorry, doesn't work, guys. SEO is only as good as what you do out there in the rest of the field. It's optimization of people who are searching for someone they don't know. I prefer to deal with people I know, to actually leverage brand and all the other things that happen in your marketplace I don't want them going to sell my castle or what those other things are to find people. Why would you do that? Why would you sit back and wait for that to happen?
Totally.
And I think that's been a lot of laziness on agents' part, and they're not
Yep.
truly developing relationships.
Mm.
Hopefully, what technology is going to do is that's a great enabler to actually get agents into a place where they are really, really communicating more with humans.
Definitely.
With open homes, right? Open homes are the greatest gift to real estate because they're physically seeing people.
Yep.
They're, they're meeting, and I look at my guys and let's say they're doing 5 or 6 opens on a weekend and meeting 5 people. So they've got between 25 and 30. They might have met 10 of them before. So there's 20 or so new people they're meeting every week who have got in their car and driven to the property, or they've walked from their house to it for a reason. And we have only one job to do, find out why.
Yep.
Once we find out why, we know whether they're a short term, medium term, or long term potential. Are they a buyer? Are they a seller? That's what we work with. Our job is to find people and talk to them about buying and selling real estate, right?
Yep.
So when we meet them, we've got an opportunity to build relationships. And so I used to build incredible relationships with what I call advocates. Advocates are the people who say, you carry me out in a pine box, right? And I go, yep, understand, mate. I'll help them pack the pine box. Don't worry, it'll be fine. But in the meantime, hey, Bill, so that's Mary over there, and she's quite interested in this property. I'd really appreciate it if you wouldn't mind going and having a chat to her about how awesome this neighborhood is. Yeah, I'd love to do that, John. Off would go Bill. Because Bill would come to every open home I do
Totally.
in a suburb, right? And because he knew that he'd be treated with respect, he wouldn't be hassled. And I would use Bill and they go, oh, that Bill guy's, and I only do it if it's a nice guy, right? Or a woman.
Yeah,
I'm not going to sell the diva. But it was gold. And
yeah.
and so many of those people over the years, John, you've been, ring up, can you sell my house? Now, they're all kinds of different relationships, but the reality is it's never going to replace that. What we're never going to replace that. Our value lies in the fact that people don't know what they need to know. 70% of what they don't know, or what they need to know, sorry, they don't know. We are the solution to that because we're the only ones that know it.
Yeah. So
Solicitors
true.
don't, building inspectors don't. They don't know the nuances of the workflow, the processes, the steps that need to take place to actually successfully achieve a premium price for a property or to premium release for a property. All those things, that's where our worth is. But do we articulate that well enough, or do we just go through the motions and wing it every day?
Mm, beautiful. I love it. John, really appreciate your time. Is there anything else that you feel that we haven't covered that you would like to cover in today's episode?
I think there's a really good concept that I've been really, I suppose, passionate about. And there's two things there. One is the Rise Initiative, obviously, where I've been involved in it for 6 years, and having the opportunity to share that with the audience. And for those who go, what is this Rise Initiative about? Basically, is there to help agents navigate life and navigate the things that they never know is going to come along and whack them on. You know, and the Real Care app, which I will send to you so you can share with your
Yep.
audience,
Great.
um, is something that, and I've had so many, because I've been involved with it for 6 years. I get calls from people saying, I didn't think this would apply to me, but thank God I had it. Went through a crisis and I was able to get quick relief. I was able to actually talk to someone about my situation. I was able to actually put exercises in place, and it covers things on SOS, like I need help. It's free. It's completely private. It's encrypted, that nobody can get any data. But it's a service to the industry that, in my view, most people won't need, and I hope they don't need it. But this saves lives. We know it. It also saves livelihoods. That there is something that you've got a tool in your pocket, in your phone, that you can go to any time that'll help you in different situations. But apart from that, the Rise Initiative is about helping agents find an alternative way, finding a way that's sustainable, that will enable them to look at their life in different with a different perspective. And we've got some great playbooks that you can get off the Rise Initiative website, riseinitiative.org, that from a property management perspective and a sales or business perspective, that will just help guide you through this journey. Because it's like, where do I start? How do I create a great culture? How do I get my business to a place where it can thrive and I'm not permanently under stress? Because quite frankly, most businesses are under stress because of poor leadership.
Yeah.
And they can't hold on to people. They can't create a great team. It's because of leadership. It's because they're so caught up in themselves that they can't see that building a team is about letting go to grow and actually developing people around you. That's the secret. And so what we'll do is provide the tools for people to navigate a better way. Better thinking leads to better teams. Better teams lead to better people, better culture, and that's the whole idea of the business ends up with a better business. So these things exist by people in the industry to help the industry be better. So, but I'll shoot that through, and if you wouldn't mind sharing
Yeah,
that.
we'll put that in the show notes and all the links in the
And the last
there as
one
well.
is this concept of, agents talk about, I'm pitching for business. I hate that terminology. Absolutely hate it. It's like, create a plan, not a pitch. Like, what are you actually doing here? When you create a plan, you can actually show people where the plan's going to take them. And this is fundamental, McKinsey and Harvard Business School and Stanford University. This is standard research stuff. If you make something a map and not a maze, people can follow it, right? Whereas most real estate stuff is just a maze. And the reason it's a maze is they don't actually understand it. Because when people feel clarity or see clarity, they move forward, right? Because the reality is that, that clarity enables move forward, but confusion stalls. So when you're confused and therefore you're in a maze, you're stalling all the time. And so when you can show that a plan solves people's biggest challenge, you really are in a different place. You're in a place where, this makes sense to me. Now I understand. And then you can simplify the steps and focus on the transformation, because clients are looking for what the transformation is. I've got this situation, I'm looking to do this situation. So again, simple sells, confusion repels, so lead with clarity. And I think that message alone is such an important one for people to grab hold of and go, well, what am I actually doing when I'm talking to clients? Am I confusing them? Because I believe most agents confuse. And in the absence of clarity, in the absence of differentiation, price becomes an issue.
So true. So true. John, gold, as always, really appreciate your time. Really appreciate your energy and your expertise. You're always giving huge gold nuggets to the audience. So I just wanted to acknowledge you. Thank you so much for everything that you do personally, everything that you do for Cunningham's, and everything that you do for the industry. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure, mate. And thank you so much.